takes a minute. Welcome to the Noble Shire for Progressive Discussion. And we have Giancarlo Erra here again from Nosound. Thank you very much for coming. He's going to be talking about his brand new album, the band's brand new album, To the Core, which was released on June 27th on Kscope and Burning Shed record labels. It's an EP, and he just keeps rolling the music out. Go ahead and say hi, Giancarlo, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, hi everyone, and yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me again. Yeah, really looking forward to talk a bit more about to the core.
All right. Um, so you have developed just real quick, you have developed a great relationship with Kscope and Burning Shed. And just want to know, how well do they support you and other artists that are on the label, if you know, because I think you're pretty well connected with them, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, music industry is definitely not one of the easiest
Yeah.
around. So yeah, I mean, obviously, Kscope is now probably we signed with Kscope, I think, in 2008. So it's like a long time now. Yeah, they always supported basically fully everything. They're quite an amazing bunch of guys, and and even in this case, we wanted to release a mini album or a shorter album for several reasons that we can then talk about. And they're always behind every single plan. They were behind the last studio album that was a bit different. They were behind this one, and yeah, obviously it is very closely related to Burning Shed, because obviously Burning Shed is the official shop of Kscope. They are based in Norwich as well. So yeah, it's a whole, I suppose it's a whole tight family. And yeah, with Bernie Shed, I think for the second time we have done the limited edition vinyl. Yeah, I just told them why we don't do like a very limited edition as usual, something for the fans, basically, if they want it on vinyl. And yeah, they jumped on board and we did it. It sold out, so it is all good. And yeah, feeling obviously always very lucky to work with these people.
And for people that might be listening to this other, because I do a lot of interviews with independent artists, they're very good as far as giving you the freedom to do whatever you want. They don't tell you, no, that song doesn't sound good. You're not going to I mean, they don't have those kind of controls, and they give you freedom, right?
Yeah, artistic
Yeah.
freedom, obviously.
Artistic freedom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing is that there's always a balance because, it is, I think it is up to the artist to always, work with a record label, for example, and then for the record label to just help the artist to get the better of what they can do, more than imposing, I think, anything.
Yeah.
And Cascope never imposed anything, but every time I want feedback or help or a second pair of ears to listen to something, they're always there. So, yeah, I mean, they've always been fantastic on that.
So yeah, if you're listening, they are a great label to work with, and they always, if I ever ask for anything, they're willing to send albums for review. They're just wonderful people, and so if you're looking for a label, those are some good ones. Do you want to talk about some of the band member changes, or were there none?
Well, I mean, the band changed many times by now.
No, but I
Uh,
mean recently. I mean recently.
oh, I mean, recently now, the band we have now, it has been probably it's gonna be good 6 years, maybe more. So, I mean, it was this band even when actually the last studio album was released, because then Chira that was playing with us then needed to do other things, and so left the band. So, yeah, I mean, we are pretty much stable configuration at the moment. Probably is the longest stable that we ever had since the very first one. So, I have Paolo Vigliarolo, which is on guitars since forever. We play together since we are 14, so we literally like grew up together, and
Wow.
we keep playing together, and he's fantastic. Obviously, he's a dear friend and fantastic musician. Marco Berni on the keyboards, and as well as many years that we play together. And he's the proper director of sound, on live stage. And without him, we literally couldn't do the shows. And Orazio Fabri on bass, very solid, fantastic guy. And then Diana Michalacci on drums. We changed a fair amount of drummers, I suppose. It's never easy to find like a drummer that is like I suppose really fitting with what you want to do. But yeah, with Daniele, it's been fantastic. He's very supportive. He understands the music. He's always very willing to experiment. So it's been very good.
And did you guys get together to create this either in Italy or did they come up to England? He's in Norwich, England, by the way. I didn't mention that.
Yeah.
Or did you do it over the internet?
I mean, it depends really. For recording, we try to be all together. In the writing and production, I've always done most of it on my own. So basically, I just keep doing that on my own. And then, it's all on the internet. So, sending material back and forth, tracks, demos, and then listening to what we want, what do we think, and all this sort of stuff. We do it on the internet, but in Italy, my mom still lives in Italy. So I sometimes come go back to Italy and then I see them and we talk about music and whatnot.
All right. And you described To the Core as I always prefer to play a song again because it was beautiful, but too short rather than wonder why it goes on for so long without saying anything new. So the record sort of takes the band back to the core. And I think that was the reason behind it. Why why did you go back, or did it help to sort of reestablish things and now you can move forward, or what was the reason for that?
Um, I don't know, to be honest. I don't think that there is like I mean, there wasn't a plan in a way. I think that, I mean, everybody knows an album. This is why they sometimes come out after a year, sometimes after 4 years, because I mean, I always like for music to be very spontaneous. So, as I always say, I don't want to make a single album or a single show because I need to pay bills.
Yeah.
That's always been my mantra. And, it needs compromises, obviously. But I think it is the only way to keep art really, well, for me at least, to keep it really pure, out of, I need to make an album because otherwise, I don't have money to eat food or to warm, to heat up the house, So it's always like a process very natural. And with this album it was the same. I mean, Allow Yourself was very experimental for a reason. So there was an intention there to just explore the more electronic side of things. And with this one, I just decided that there was going to be preset, um, no preset intention. So it was going to be like, let's see what
What
inspiration, if you
happens?
want,
Yeah.
what it brings. And I think it naturally brought elements, I think elements of everything. There are elements of there are elements of Allow Yourself, there are elements of a bit of everything. I returned to the guitar because, I started enjoying back playing more the guitar, and we played some live shows, and so the guitar is always quite central on there. So it was overall quite a natural process. I think that the intention was just to let things flow a bit more naturally. So if there
Yeah.
is an intention and the result, it is literally then what happened.
And it's only been out since the end of June, but how's the feedback? How's the are people latching onto it and buying? And um, are you getting a lot of hits and a lot of people interested in the new album? Do they know about it? And are they? How's it doing?
Well, I mean, it's always hard. I mean, it's doing well because, as I said, the vinyl basically sold out in pre-order, so that
Wow.
was nice and fine. The CDs keeps selling, downloads as well. Lots of people listening on streaming and stuff, which is always nice. I think it's very interesting. First reviews. in particular. Some reviews noticing this kind of somber or sad or melancholic nature of the music, and interestingly enough, perceiving it as a sadness from me. While I don't know for whatever reason, to be honest. Actually, I think that is one of the. I mean, melancholy has still been obvious. It's always been part of the of my expression. Music is an excellent way for me to just go through feelings, and hence, feelings. It is what it is on the album, but I think that this album actually is the result of growth. And so basically at the end of this album writing, I actually came out happier and more,
Mm,
I suppose, more
okay.
mature. So it was very interesting to see how the album is perceived for the melancholy, but not everyone is necessarily actually perceiving with the fact that that is cathartic. So, when you express actually, I don't know, sadness or regret or whatever it is, you are actually moving forward. You are like, moving on. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm finding it quite interesting to see. It's always interesting to see reaction of people, obviously. And but it's very nice to notice that people see that it is a bit more to the core, so it's more raw, the voice is more upfront, and it is very nice to see how people actually perceived what is behind it. That is what it is really nice to see.
And which one's selling more, CDs or albums?
Well, the vinyl was limited, so the vinyl once it's sold, it's sold. So it's definitely CDs that sell more.
Wait, CDs or vinyl?
No, no, CDs. CDs sell
Oh,
more
no
because
kidding. Wow.
yeah, yeah,
Because you
yeah, yeah,
sold out of the vinyl, but the
yeah,
CDs are good. That's good to
yeah,
hear.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
mean, generally speaking, CDs sell more anyway. I suppose because it is cheaper, obviously, and the vinyl situation is very interesting in the industry. Sales for vinyl, they are for the first time, I think, in a few years, they're starting to go down. But I think that way too many bands are probably exploiting it too much. I see when there are new releases, there are like five different limited color editions, and then after a year, then is a sixth one, and they are made for collectors, and
yeah.
collectors will collect them. But when you are taking the mic, I suppose, as they say here in the UK, then people get a bit fed up with it, and then they say, well, you know what, I'm not gonna buy it. So I think that the industry is going to be now in a bit more of a reality check, and that's probably trying to not exaggerate in exploiting people's money because, situation is what it is.
Well, for me, I do still like CDs better. I have both and I like both. I'm not cutting down vinyl in any way. But I, the revolution for me was when I first heard Dark Side of the Moon on CD, and you could hear the whole thing without a pop or a skip. And it was, and I keep my records nice, but even then, you can't, control everything. But to
No.
hear that for the first time, on CD, I was like, okay, that's it. I'm not buying another album. But your music is kind of like theirs. It's quiet. It's
Yeah.
not. You're not, classic. Well, in some ways, classic. But anyway, I don't mean that as a derogative thing. It's a something you got to listen to. You got to sit back and listen to and really enjoy all the layers. And it's hard to do that when you hear, pop or click or, And so that for you, I would always probably for your music, I'd probably always buy CDs. For metal. Yeah, maybe the album. But and do you feel that difference or no? If you have a good enough, huh?
Oh yeah, there is a difference, and also, I mean, I love vinyl. I mean, I usually, I usually master for vinyl, so I actually, if you want, infuse a difference. They are two different means. So,
Yeah.
no, the vinyl is, if you want, is a bit more organic, is a bit less detailed. Obviously, is less quiet. But I mean, for me, vinyl has always been like more of a, it's nice to have the object and it's nice to play it every now and then because it sort of forces you to sit down and listen through a whole album, while usually I don't have the time very often for that, so I maybe tend to listen to streaming or even stuff I have CDs of because it's just more practical. That's just the nature of things. So yeah, I definitely feel the difference. And sometimes I like vinyl. I think that to the core, the vinyl sounds very nice. Probably one of the best masters that we've done on vinyl. But I mean, the vinyl, it is definitely, it is definitely like a reduction of quality in comparison to the CD because everything was recorded digitally.
Yep. And you make the trade-off between art and sound. I mean, the artwork on an album, you can't match that. I mean, especially you usually have a gatefold type album cover. And yeah, you lose that. I mean, you can still get it with a CD, but not to the
No,
power, that you can with an album. Uh, all right.
yeah, the object is nice, it's collectible, but yeah, I mean, the CDs, objectively speaking, it is better quality. It is just objectively better. Then someone might still like more the vinyl, but in terms of quality, I mean, the CDs is just arguably the better of the two.
Now, will you tour this album? I know you don't tour a lot, but what do you think?
We would like to. I mean, usually we just do mostly festivals because once again, touring, in the industry, how it's becoming for bands of our size is quite challenging. I think that's the way of expressing it. Yeah, we want to do more festivals. We've played for 9th of May. We played with Marillion in Italy, and that was fantastic. Perfect, perfect, perfect way of launching an album and celebrating it. So we want to do more. Nothing confirmed at the moment, though. So I can't really. Yeah, at the moment, nothing is
That
confirmed.
was going to be my next question. Do you have any confirmed date? But we'll skip
No,
past.
not yet, not yet.
All right. And so let's say one other real quick question, then we're going to get into the album. Who are you listening to right now as far as what bands? I know a lot of people, when they're recording, they turn everything off and just concentrate on their album. But uh, are you listening to anyone, and who are you listening to? Other bands out there?
Yeah, no, I don't stop listening to music when I'm recording. No, actually, I need to be refreshed, I suppose. I don't, to be honest, I would struggle thinking about someone in particular because I do tend to listen to a lot of like new things on Spotify literally all the time, or whatever it is, Apple Music, whatever it is that I have at the moment. So I honestly, most of the times, I just listen to new stuff continuously. And then if I like something, oh, that's interesting. And then I just go and explore and I see, oh, I don't know, is it a good artist? And usually it's also when I post it on, sometimes on social media recommending to people. But I don't think that there is much in particular that I can mention at the
This
moment.
for me, this year has been just outstanding. Anyway, I mean, I have a lot, and I post it all the time. But you're not finding 2025 to be a sort of a bouquet of music. You're not anything that you would if you want to recommend, or
I don't
you don't
know.
have to. I'm just saying
No, I mean, I will struggle. I will struggle, honestly, anything
it's okay.
specific that I think, uh, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I mean, there are many songs, but probably nothing, I have them organized in my own playlist and stuff, but definitely not an album or not, or anyway, not something new. I mean, there was the song that I posted on Facebook time ago was like a pop artist, Sad, which is, I think it's called Sad, Sade, is like a female singer in the
Oh,
UK.
Sade.
Sade. I don't know.
From Africa, well, originally from Africa.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh yeah, she is outstanding
Amazing. And
taste.
there was this song Young Lion, which is
Yeah.
quite still probably my favorite from last year and probably still from this year. So, but that is the last one that I can remember, that literally went on repeat in my playlists because I was thinking that is absolutely beautiful.
Well,
Um,
speaking of her, I think she still has an album coming out this year. So keep your eyes open for that. Yeah,
hmm,
she never makes a ballad album and usually waits like 10 years. You have to wait 10 years for her to create a new album. She puts that much effort into it. And yeah, no, definitely.
yeah.
Uh, I'm looking forward to it if it happens. But
Oh,
yes,
yeah, yeah. I'm following her. So,
started.
when it's out, I will definitely, because, that song was one of those where you listen, you think, yeah, you know.
Yep. I'll give you another one, Atomic Time. And
Okay.
I actually interviewed them, reviewed both of their albums, but they sound a little bit like you, but very key. Well, a lot of keyboards, but definitely they have guitar in there as well. But if you get a chance, take a listen to them. It's prog metal-ish, but it's really good.
Okay.
And they're from near Sao Paulo, Brazil. But check that
Okay.
out. All
All
right,
right.
let let's definitely talk about core. Um, let's start with the first song, "The Nothing We Gave." Tell us about what the meaning is. The lyrics are great, but and yeah, I think I even said a sad, almost hymn sounding song. But you tell us why it's not, or maybe like you said, it's something that can help you move beyond it.
Oh, I don't know. Usually, lyrics are always like a mixture of several things, in my case, and I always try to leave people with their own interpretation, if you want, of songs. But I think that Nothing We Gave is quite similar. This is why it's the opening, and then, we'll talk about later about Closure, which is the closing track. And I think that it is like the common, well, one of the main themes on the album, that it is why I was talking about growing and maturity, you know what I mean, as a human being, because it is all about realizing that sometimes we just let things happen or unravel in ways that are almost careless, but not because we are careless. It's just because maybe we don't realize it, maybe we don't know, maybe just subconsciously we want to do it. And I suppose, I don't know, I think that growing older, probably when you're younger, you tend to find blame and you tend to find, usually outside of yourself, is either blame or self-pity or whatever, while I think that then maturity sometimes just brings you this more, I wouldn't say detached, but this more mature, I suppose, approach, which is just realizing, well, this is what we did. And in this case, when I said about careless, it's the nothing we gave. So, sometimes, I suppose we don't put the effort needed, maybe because it wasn't worth it, maybe because it wasn't meant on, it happens in everything. It happens in friendships, relationships, business relationships, whatever it is. It happens usually between human beings, relationships, any sort of relationship between human beings. And as I said, I suppose that sometimes, for me at least, has been in the last few years, through several episodes, has been like a time to realize that sometimes things just are not meant to be, or there is no blame, and actually blame probably it is the least useful thing to do, and it's just about realizing that, yeah, if you don't give something to something, then things don't survive on themselves.
And yeah, it's been a while now, but you made the move from Italy to England, and that had to be a huge upheaval. And you know, change in your life for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean that was now 15 years ago, but has been since, obviously, as you can imagine. Yes, obviously, it is a. I mean, I wouldn't say it's still an ongoing process because now it's been 15 years, but yeah, obviously going away from, I don't know, family, established friends or whatever, and then moving in UK. I mean, nowadays I call the UK home because
Yeah.
it all affects. I love being here. I wouldn't want to be back to Italy, and this is why I moved here.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was also this impact, in particular for my family, obviously left in Italy. So that is also something that has an impact.
All right. And then the title song comes up next, To the Core. And yeah, it's probably my favorite on the album, but go ahead and you really deal with a lot of things in that song lyrically, but go ahead. I'd rather hear it
Yeah.
from you than me.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm happy it is one of your favorites. It's probably my favorite. This is why I chose it as well for the title as title track. Well, yeah, I was talking about family, so there is a song about the passing of my father that happened now a few years ago. Departure Tapes, my second solo album, was already about that, but that was like an instrumental album, and I suppose it was on purpose because sometimes when things are a bit more difficult to deal with, maybe you don't have necessarily the words at the
There
moment.
are no words. Yeah.
So, you just go with the music. It's probably easier. But then, I think that the lyrics of To the Core were developed over a long time. And just eventually it was a way, once again, it was a way to realize that, well, sometimes, I mean, relationship with parents sometimes can be quite difficult and can be quite tormented, if you want, or yeah, just difficult. So then, obviously, when things are unresolved, and then then when parents die and stuff, there is all sort of
Yeah.
things coming up. And, to the core, it is mostly all about that, about the, in this case, about miscommunication or lack of ability of communication. And then, it's just um, I suppose, being at peace with the fact that you tried and we both tried to, I don't know, repair and understand as much as we could when we had the time.
Yeah.
And very often it happens when you know that you are not going to have much time. And that probably was better than nothing. And it was better, it would have been nice if it wasn't like that, but then it was like that, and there is not much else you can do about it. um, and so it's just probably a reflection on, being at peace with the fact that sometimes people just are not meant, they're too different, or they're not meant to be able to communicate to each other, or they can't find the right way of communicate to each other. And it is sad, but it is also part of life, and that is probably a reflection on that.
Well, yeah, it's been about 20 or so years since I lost my dad. And just like you, for like a year and a half, I didn't have the words to say, and it was very difficult. And we had a very close relationship, but we definitely were completely different. I mean, I definitely love sports, as you can see by this jersey, but different sports, different interests. I love music. He liked it, but so you had all your differences, and there was, and his happened so fast that, just like you, I didn't get everything I wanted to say said, and lost my mother last year and did have enough time. And I learned from that earlier experience, make sure you say these things before it is too late. And yeah, it's so very important. It doesn't, and also, like you said, it doesn't mean everything. It doesn't mean that you didn't have a great relationship with your parents or anything like that. It's just sometimes you don't know what to say too. Yeah. And um, that's why the second time I was absolutely prepared. And for all those that, haven't, make sure you take advantage and be with those people as much as you possibly can. I remember so many times my dad would say, "Hey, let's go and catch a ball or something like that." And now I wish I had said yes, but I had friends and other things going on, and yeah, I mean those little things you come back and you do think about them later.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And speaking of growing old, worn out parts, the video kind of captures that with winter and the snow, and I'm no spring chicken either. So it's it's not bad. It's not all bad. Everyone thinks, oh my God, I don't want to get old. I'd rather just. I mean, so many people from my generation where I'm getting out of here before I get old, and did what they had to do to do that. But no, I mean, yeah, you start feeling things more than you used to as far as pains and things like that, joints, and but your knowledge and the way you look at the world has absolutely changed. I mean, I've always been multicultural. I've always been independent minded, but definitely the way I look at the world is much changed from when I was a little kid, and so there's good things that come out of this for those of you that are young and thinking, "Oh my God, I don't want to ever grow old." How do you feel?
Oh, I mean, I probably am like yourself, I am, you know, it's part of life, so I am quite pragmatic on that. And yeah, it's just about trying to have, I suppose, trying to have the least amount of regrets that you can in whatever way you can, and just be at peace that the fact that as I always tell people, every choice you make, it is inherently every choice you do, you are just giving up on something, if you choose between A and B. So you have to be at peace with the fact that, I mean, regret sometimes is just, it is just inevitable, but it is also a bit sometimes useless because once again, you never have the full view of what would be, what would have been if you don't know. And so we always tend to look at things probably sometimes more negatively, the ones that we choose, and then we sometimes maybe tend to see potentially more good than what they actually are, the ones that we choose to not go for, in particular if our choice didn't turn up to be what we wanted. So yeah, my approach is quite basically time passes and and this is my dog. Gino, stay here.
Oh,
Come.
okay.
Gino. Oh, I'm going to the bedroom. Okay, careful with the door. Close it, yeah, close it, please. Gino. Okay. Right. Sorry. Back with
No,
you.
that's okay. Yeah, no, that's quite all right.
Worries. That's it. Dog can be a bit noisy, so my partner is back home. So yeah, that is my approach, to be honest, to the passage of time, I suppose. And it's always been like a central element anyway of my music. So
Yes.
yeah, and Worn Out Parts is interesting because it's probably the song that received the most interesting feedback, as
Hmm.
in people. While I suppose the meaning of the other songs is quite maybe more clear, War Not Parts indeed it talks about lots of things altogether. So someone connected it with, for example, I don't know, illness or the decaying of the body with age. Someone else about heartbreak and all sort of
Mm.
things, and someone else about, relationships getting a bit stale. So it's been quite fascinating to see all the interpretation on worn out parts. And then in the end, one of the ones that I liked the most was, as I said, my partner Louise. She's the one that has made the artwork. She's the one that sings the backing vocals on the track, and the reason is because she connected it with the passing away of her mom. So
Um,
probably is the one where I am more linked to, just because it means so many things for so many people, which I find it quite nice, because it's very
yeah.
nice to see that people connect with it.
You always want your music connecting with people, definitely. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. And then Interrupt. And beautiful piano at the opening and talk a little bit. And there's even some that drum beat cadence towards the end reminded me a little bit of Court of the Crimson King.
Mm.
But go ahead, I'll let you talk about it.
Oh, that was very, I mean, it's one of the more experiment. It is one of those where I was sure that someone will tell me, maybe it's a bit too experimental. You should just maybe think about something else. But then it was very interesting because my keyboard player, Marco, said, "Oh, it sounds very much like a Sid Barrett song," and I was thinking, "Oh,
Yeah,
actually, I didn't think about it, and I thought, all right, okay, I see why. Probably this is where, because obviously, I'm a big fan of Pink
Pink
Floyd.
Floyd, sure.
Obviously, heavily inspired by Pink
Who
Floyd.
isn't? Oh
Sorry.
no, I just say who isn't a fan of Pink Floyd? No,
Well,
just
actually, I know people that don't like Pink Floyd, so
oh, you're
that's,
kidding. Wow.
yeah. I mean, everyone like whatever they want.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
So yeah, it was interesting to see it as a Sid Barrett inspired song. But yeah, it's definitely the most experimental. But once again, that one is one of hope, because he's literally saying, that that even when you are in the darkest place, you will find somewhere, if you look for, you will find an interrupt that will bring you back. So there was like it's a very simple reminder that I think we should all. It's very hard, obviously, when we are in the middle of something difficult, but there is always at some point a sort of solution. I mean, not always, but most of the times there is, and I think that it is always useful for us to remember that.
definitely. And then Closure, the final track, the closing track. Um, Go ahead and talk about that one.
Yeah,
Um,
as I said before, I think it's connected with the opening one, the Nothing We Gave. It's just a different way of talking about the same things. In this case, probably it is more concentrated on the fact that sometimes things.
Pace of life. I think you talk about the train, and we're
Yes.
all sort of on that train, doing work every day and not, having enough time really to do all the things we want to do.
Oh, interesting. It is an interesting interpretation. I like that. I do like that. I don't know. I think in my case, I suppose that the origin of that metaphor for me, I suppose it was about as some people, where sometimes they just don't